Hello, my name is Todd Reynolds. I am the political coordinator for the American Federation of Teachers in Maryland, and I'm here today to talk to you about the PRO Act. Right now, Congress in DC is considering the first major revision to U.S. labor law in what is known as the Protecting Our Right to Organize, or PRO Act. Over the past 100 years of U.S. labor law, corporations and bosses have been able to hire experts and lawyers that were able to identify and exploit loopholes in U.S. labor law. For example, corporations and bosses realize that under current law, violating U.S. labor law and worker rights is essentially a slap on the wrist. The PRO Act would change that by making the penalties for violating U.S. labor law more substantial. Another example, corporations and bosses hire lawyers who are able to exploit U.S. labor law by misclassifying workers as independent contractors and not employees. Independent contractors do not have the same rights at work as regular workers. The PRO Act would change that by requiring workers and bosses to adhere to a strict set of guidelines for classifying workers as employees versus independent contractors. Lastly, when workers are able to form unions at their workplace, under current law, bosses and corporations can hire lawyers that will tie up those workers in court for nearly eternity. Under the PRO Act, bosses and corporations will have to adhere to a specific timeline, a deadline by which they will need to sit down with their workers and negotiate a contract. The PRO Act is a revision of U.S. labor law that Congress must pass in order to make the relationship between bosses and their workers more fair. Contact your senators today to ask them to pass the PRO Act.